Hey everybody, it's Ilusión, and today let's brew our Mexico La Ilusión COE number 4 as a filter offering. Welcome to another Cup of Excellence winning coffee. This is Mexico's number 4 winning coffee. One of the top scoring, and we're talking like really tiny, like less than a percentage of points difference between this and the next highest scoring non-geisha varietal in the Cup of Excellence for Mexico. This is a blend of Typica, Bourbon, and Caturra. I think Caturra. But either way, Bourbon and Typica, I know for sure. Same as the one just above it. But this is a fully washed coffee, and I can only assume there is some sort of longer fermentation process during that washing process, because it is very aromatic. Rather dense, even with more development than a traditional Mexican coffee, which is really interesting. However, it is still pretty easy to brew. Not a lot of trouble draining too quickly, not a lot of trouble draining too slowly. However, draining longer brings out more complexity, sweetness, and body in this coffee, while draining too quickly is just a little bit too watery, too weak. So we're gonna brew this coffee in a Kalita wave. I liked the glass model for this one because of its faster flow rates. A coffee that is already gonna drain in like 4 minutes just gives me a little bit extra speed and the ability to grind a little bit finer. I ground this on 11 on my Baratza Concord. It's gonna be about 20 on your Comandante C40, and I'm looking at about 8 to 7 3/4 on a Malkunik EKS. So I have got 16 grams of coffee, and I'll be brewing 250 grams of water. Let's wet paper filter. Drop there in the middle. Dropping in the middle of your Kalita filter helps keep it straight and flat in your brewer before you move around to the edges and wet those sides. Helps it keep its structure there at the bottom, which blocking that airflow is what causes a lot of the choking in your Kalitas. Let's dump that. Sorry, you know what? I said 16 grams. I'm brewing with 12 grams of coffee and 160 mils of water. So, got my recipes mixed up in my head. 12 grams of coffee, 160 mils of water. We're going to bloom with 30 grams right here. So, really light. You can already smell this coffee, it's super fragrant. Around 30 grams, it smells like yogurt. It smells like yogurt right now. I'm gonna let this bloom for 45 seconds. So longer bloom time. I'm essentially breaking my pre-infusion into 2 stages over the course of 1.5 minutes. So for this first 45, we're starting to saturate. We're getting rid of some air pockets, and we're starting to degas. At 45 seconds, I'm gonna pour another 30 mils to bring this up to 60 grams total, kind of breaking that up, encouraging agitation and bringing out some more of these gases. Pouring this lower amount of water in this early stage means I'm not extracting a lot at this stage, but I'm readying it for extraction, letting me extract more over the further course of my brew. And so, 45 and 45, here at 1.5 minutes, I'm going to pour really heavy up to 120. Again, this coffee is really fragrant. We're sitting at about 5 days off roast right now, which I think is a really good point for this coffee. Pouring about as heavy as this kettle is going to let me. Get that spiral in there. Now we're increasing our flow rates. And I'm gonna let this go until 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I'll finish this off with 40 grams up to our target 160. So at this 210, I shouldn't be all the way dripped through this coffee bed. So I can see the coffee bed in here, but it's not dripped through. So like I said, this coffee is going to drain slowly. Even at this point, you're gonna be sitting here staring at your screen for a little bit because I've still got about 1.5 minutes left for this coffee to drain. It just really stalls no matter what the brew method is. Trying to counteract this, I'm trying to get a brew faster than 4 minutes, even with only 12 grams of coffee, or even less. Trying to use like the Hario V60. It just ended up in a watery cup of coffee. This coffee tastes good in a huge range, be it short brew time or long brew time. It just tastes like different variations of grape. So when it drained too quickly, it tasted like tart white grape and was pretty watery. And when it drained for a really, really long time, like my first brew was about 5.5 minutes long, it still tasted like Concord grape, but maybe like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but like grape jelly that's just not as sweet as it's supposed to be. So a little bit artificial and just not as sweet as you really want it to be. I'm starting to drip through here. I'm almost through this brew bed. It's really slow. I mean, this isn't even out on the edges. I'm not getting, you know, a huge amount of bypass. I mean, this is a glass brewer. If that was the case, this thing would have filled up on the sides. But yeah, we're dripping through, almost finished. When this cup is balanced, it is a grape bomb. It is like Concord grape, almost jam-like. We get a little bit of spiced cardamom. We get raw sugar, super sweet, super grape. Here we go, 4 minutes on the dot. Look at that. And there in the aftertaste, especially when the coffee cools, we get this anise note. Whew. So, man, this is like maybe even just the 4th coffee from Mexico that I have ever brewed personally. There's a little bit for Jason, a little bit for me. All right, serve and enjoy.